I have been watching your content for a little bit, and after doing so, it begs the question: what do you have against charming uh, extroverts, and what did we ever do to you?
Oh, you're so great. I love that question. Um, I love charming extroverts. I'm cautious about charming extroverts because of my own personal experience and also because of the 50,000 or more interviews I've done with single people. There's a certain type of charming extrovert that can, not always, can fall into the umbrella of narcissism. And that's a very overused word in today's world. But there's a tendency for people with a low self esteem. They're not securely attached. They've got something that they're not really feeling great about themselves. And as a response, they build their personality and they build their charisma and they build their magnetic force that they have with people. It's very powerful talent, being charismatic, being magnetic, and sometimes that power can be misused. Do you know
I
what I
can
mean?
see that. I also see that sometimes being charismatic is very polarizing because what I find sometimes is that people either like you or they don't like you. There is no middle. Um, so I find that to be interesting. Um,
There
but
are, there are unicorns, Andre. There are unicorns. You might be a unicorn. You think of yourself as charismatic. I mean, you
people
have.
have told me that, um, and I find that I can be polarizing. I find that the people either like me or they don't.
Well,
Um,
I'm just getting to know you, but my sense of you is that you're grounded. You're grounded in who you are. You know what you're all about. You have personal confidence that's not fake, it's not put on. Is that true about you?
I say that with it's funny that you say that. I think with everybody, especially for men, right? I don't think we're born confident. I think you become confident by doing something often, by looking at results, by proving to yourself that you can do the thing. It's not like a delusion, So I'm very, I guess, grounded in that, and but I'm not. How can I say this? I'm not a finished product, right? There's a
Well, I hope not, darling. Goodness gracious, you're a young. I'm just turning 65 this weekend, and I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm hoping that this is the third chapter of my life. And like my mother in law, this is the mascot for my company, Feisty
oh,
Frida Furman. She's the one who inspires me every day, and I keep her alive every day because she was the most successful dater I've ever met, even in her 80s and 90s.
well, good for her.
She had charisma.
Mm.
I have charisma. I've studied it, and I know that I developed charisma because around our dinner table in our home, charisma, personality was applauded. They would fan that flame. But also, as a mature adult and I look back into it, there was some insecurity there that manifested in let's make sure everybody likes me and let's make sure that I'm like a leader and popular. And it wasn't until later in life that I realized true happiness comes from in here, not from what other people think of me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if we are all honest with each other, right, there's almost everything has a light side and a dark side. So charisma absolutely has a dark side, and I think you touch on that, because you could become um, a person who seeks validation externally versus having a purpose and fulfilling that, or trying to fulfill the purpose, and that gives you the validation that you want.
Yeah.
So it's internal versus external.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what I say to women who are like, I do these consultations as a matchmaker, I do something that most matchmakers don't do. If you're a single guy and you're out there dating and you want to kind of check your picker, we do my consultation, my Zoom consultation, and I search in advance and we look at maybe 30 people together, real live women who are in my world. I get to watch your face and I get to see who you go for. The more romantic market value a man has, or a woman, the more they're likely to choose the usual suspects. Do you know what I mean by that?
oh yeah, sure.
And the usual
Yeah.
suspects are the usual suspects because today's culture, the world we're living in, has deemed that their qualities are desirable. And what are the qualities women come to me asking for? Go ahead, shoot.
6 foot tall, 6 figures, good in the sack.
Only 6 figures. Come on.
Well, I'm in Atlanta, so I guess where you are, 7 figures. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think that we have become, and I would imagine that's a challenge for your work, right? Because the impression that I get from you, right, from watching your content and seeing your work online, is that I do find I see a lot of authenticity in what you do, right? I think you are looking beyond the numbers and things like that. So I would imagine that a challenge for you would be very much trying to take that out of people's heads. Like, listen, you shouldn't be looking like that. That shouldn't be the filter that you filter a real connection by, right? That could be important. That could be attractive, of course. We're not. Nobody's going to sit here and say that might not be enticing for a woman to see, but that shouldn't be like the limiting factor, right?
Exactly. Okay, so I know that our culture is extraordinarily complex and our human beings, we are extraordinarily complex. So during the process of getting to know someone, I'm watching. The first step is they register with me, I see how they create their profile. Interestingly, the more attractive and hotsy-totsy men and women both are, the less likely I find them to be to actually finish their profile and write their essays. They think their photos are going to be good enough.
Interesting.
And if all they are is good looking and they look good on paper, but they don't have the seriousness about this part of life to take 10 minutes, I can do it in 5. I can do 7 essays in 5 minutes. Some people just choose not to do it. Can I refer somebody if they haven't taken the time to write down who are they? Who are they looking for? What do they love to do for fun? What's their background like? Tell us about your work. How do you feel about politics? How do you feel about religion? Those are the things that are sometimes deal breakers. So I need to know up front. If somebody's a practicing Christian and only wants to date a practicing Christian, I don't want to match that person with a religious Jewish person, right? And if they don't take the time to do it, it tells me something. And then when I get them on the phone for that free 30-minute phone call, and they're just talking about themselves and how wonderful they are, and they expect this and they want this and they need this because they're so whatever. Can you see my eyes rolling? But I just let them go because they're showing me who they are. That's the example of the charismatic, popular person that everybody seems to be going for, but they aren't finding their partner. So then they come to the matchmaker. Well, I'm going to tell her what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that word.
They're going to put the order in and you're going to find the person. Yeah.
I want pickles and no onions. I told you, Julie, I need this, this, and this. So here's how I save them, Andre. We do that consultation and I get very clear before we look at people together that I've chosen to see together based on what I know about them so far. And when I watch their face, I get to see, okay, who are they going for? Who are they overlooking? And before we start that, I find out what their key criteria are. These are the 3, maybe 4, never more than 5 key criteria that somebody would rather be single forever than partner with somebody who didn't have those criteria. When we really boil it down, do you think height and hair and beards and what he wears and where he grew up and what kind of car he drives and what kind of net worth he has, do you think that ever makes it to the top 5?
The cynical me would say yes, but I know that the answer is no.
Well, the answer is no, because when I'm doing the consultations and she'll tell me, oh, I really need 6 feet. Okay, great. I hear that a lot. Let's find out where that is in your priorities. So when we boil it right down, the number one criteria that always matters to a woman more than anything else, I've been studying this for decades. What do you think it is, Andre? It's not 6 feet.
I would say purpose and leadership.
That's a good one. There's something more important to a woman than purpose and leadership. Purpose and leadership is probably going to lead to accomplishment, the ability to garner resources, which is what we can't help it as women. It's instinctive, it's cultural. We got to know that we'll be safe if we're with him. We want to know that we're financially safe with a roof over our heads so we can do what we're so good at, which is making the house a home. I'm just doing that right now because we're living in our 4th house now that we've lived in 35 years. I'm making this house a home. If I wasn't here, it would be like a bachelor pad. So I want to have a roof and a safe place to be so that I can bring my gifts to the world, to the marriage, to the partnership, so that I can do this kind of stuff that makes a difference on the larger scale. What always boils down to the number one factor for a woman, it's under the umbrella of trustworthy, honest. His word, I can count on it. If he tells me he's going to be there to pick me up at the hospital, I know he will be there. Trustworthy, which covers loyalty, monogamy. You can count if he tells you something, he's not lying. He strives to be honest. This is like morality here. And when it comes right down to it, especially women who've been married before and they've had a divorce or they've just had enough relationships that they've seen what was lacking. And I will ask him that, in the relationships that you've had, what was the quality? What were the qualities that you really found lacking that you determined, now I'd rather be single forever than partner with somebody without this quality? Honesty, integrity, and character is always number one. Can you guess what number 2 is?
I I'll venture a guess, but I'll just say that I agree with you 100%. And I've seen other people talk about that. So even though my first guess was incorrect, I hear a lot about that. No, but I hear a lot about that, about the uh, I saw one video on YouTube once that this lady was talking about the 10 things a woman should do to keep a man, right? To keep the relationship going. And then she said there's one thing that a guy has to do to keep a relationship going with a woman. Just one thing that you can never break, an unbreakable rule. And that is exactly what you just said. It's keep your word. If you're gonna say you're gonna do something, do it. If you can't do it, just be like, hey, I can't do that. I can't pick you up today. But if you say you're going to do it, do it. And one of the things that I really try to be careful with is my word, like what I tell people I'm going to do, right? Because I don't want to break that contract with myself, because I think that's where the confidence goes away, right? If you break your own, your own rules, you pay a price, and the price is that your integrity goes away, right? And then you're not the guy, you're not the thing that you are portraying to be. So I'm very conscious of saying that. And in fact, sometimes I'll give my word to people, and then in the middle, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is a really bad deal for me. But I said I was going to do it. I do it. I learn from it. I don't do it again. But I do the best I can do with that.
You said it beautifully, Andre, because if you've broken your word, you've broken your word to yourself first. If you have a higher power, anybody you answer to upstairs, I do. I know that I missed the mark. So, how does that make me feel about myself? I feel like, ooh, gosh, I slipped into being a flawed human, which we all are. And no matter what we did that was inappropriate, wrong, didn't work, evil, whatever, if we own it and apologize, make amends, do what we can to shore that up so that it won't happen again, we're doing our part. So so the reason why integrity and character and honesty is so important to a woman in choosing her partner is that she wants to be safe. You've studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs from way back when, right?
Hmm.
Bottom of the pyramid is safety and security. If you are a man of your word, if you strive to be, if when you screw up and you don't do it, you come to me and say, Julie, I'm so sorry. I know I told you I'd get this thing to you by Friday and I didn't. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get to you tomorrow. Is that okay with you? And can you forgive me for being late? I'm going to forgive you all day long. I'm going to send you a card to say thank you for being such an incredible, courageous man. So when we know that we're safe, then we can move to the next level and we can start thinking about interaction. And if it's the kind of relationship that is authentically lovely for me and for you, and I can't even open my heart to you if I don't know that I can trust you with my emotions, with my feelings, with my goals, with my dreams. So whenever I do it with a woman and we're looking through, pretty soon, height goes down lower than integrity. The second one is kindness.
The second one is kindness. Really? Wow.
I'll ask a woman every time, would you rather be single for the rest of your life than partner with a man who isn't kind, thoughtful, considerate of others? I get a yes every single time. And you know how I like to encourage women and men both to observe character, how they drive.
Oh, I know. I can tell you that from experience because if you can, inside of a vehicle, right, inside of a car, you feel, especially newer cars, right, you feel very protected, and you feel very powerful in a way, right?
Yeah.
So there is a disconnect. You can see how people behave when they have the sense of power, right? The sense of I cannot be hurt because I'm in this metal tube thing that seals me from the outside. And once you feel that way, once you have that perceived power, right? You look at how people treat others and they treat others in the road, right? It's very telling. It's extremely telling. In fact, I almost like if I start dating a woman, one of the first things I want to do is go, I want her to drive at least one time just to see what that's like. Or even when I'm driving and she's next to me, how she behaves. Because it's a similar feeling because if it becomes a thing where you know she's saying negative things about the other drivers or negative things about me, like my drive is not good enough because of whatever reason, like that's very telling of where this thing is going to go.
It truly is.
S-
I have
yeah,
really studied this, and I believe that how we do one thing is how we do a whole lot of other things. So, what
a
I
hundred
ask
percent.
men and women both to do is suspend the question, what is this new relationship going to be like? Let's say Andre and I meet through online dating, whatever, and we're having text exchange and we're maybe having a phone call, and then we get together for a coffee date, and then maybe we have a dinner date or we have an activity date. We go walking along the Strand in Santa Monica, whatever. And I want to see how you behave in between the dates. Are you being considerate? Are you being courteous? Are you a man of your word? Do you show up on time? And what I'm looking for now, and what I encourage women to look for is, are you the type of person who cares about other people? So if we're walking along the sidewalk together and I'm on the traffic side and it just rained and there's a whole bunch of big, deep puddles, are you the kind of guy that thinks, you know what, I better put myself on the dangerous side so that if we get splashed from the puddle, it'll be me and not Julie? I'm guessing you'd be the kind of guy that would just naturally think of that.
Yeah, I think it's weird because we live in such a weird times in a way because I've done things like that and again, there's something to be said about casting the right person for the role, right? In a way, there are people who are going to look at that and say, "That's wonderful that you do that." Or even in a car, for example, if the car, for whatever reason, have to brake real fast, you put your arm on her, like it's just, I'm not thinking about, oh, let me do this thing. I just do it, right? Because it's whatever. Or if there's a dangerous situation, you you put her in a position where she'll be safe.
Here's a good example. You're at the end of a date. You're in Atlanta. You're downtown. It's busy. It's traffic. It's whatever. And it's the end of the date. And there's no valet parking. And you
I'll walk
just
her to her car.
give her a hug. Some guys try to go in for the kiss, which I don't recommend anymore. Ever since COVID, you got to ask first. And then Me Too didn't help either. But if you're just like, bye, see you later, maybe you're not too into her or whatever. Nice to meet you, bye. And you just head out. And there she is in her high heels. She parked 4 blocks away. It's 9:30 at night. She has to get to her car. And the guy didn't even think to say, even though he doesn't want to see her again, Julie, you know what? I'm going to walk you to your car. We're downtown Atlanta. Is that okay with you? If a guy doesn't offer, I say to women, please say to him, Andre, it's downtown Atlanta. Would you do me a huge favor and just walk me to my car, make sure the boogeyman doesn't get me? We shouldn't say it in an admonishing kind of way, like, what's wrong with him that he didn't think of it already? You guys don't understand. You never will relate to what it is like to be a woman. We are afraid for our safety on a regular basis all the time. Big, strong guys, they never think of that unless they're caring, right? I can't make you be more caring than you already are. You either have it or you don't. And that falls into the category of number 2, kindness, thoughtfulness, consideration, giving a rat's ass about somebody besides yourself.
And that goes to other parts of life too, not just dating, right? Like you can observe that just by how people interact with waiters, helping somebody, you know.
I have
Um,
a broken foot right now. For the second time in my life, I have both broken the same foot in the same place. It's the left foot, fortunately, so I can still drive. But I have been on crutches and in a wheelchair twice in my life now, and I watch how people behave. I watch
mm,
what happens when I'm going to the grocery store or when I'm going to. The other day, I was going into this big hotel because I was doing an interview with someone and I had to meet this person there. And I walk up to the hotel, there's no doorman or anything, it's a big, heavy door. And I'm stumbling with my crutches or whatever. Have you ever tried to open up a big, heavy door with crutches or worse in a wheelchair? Huh.
impossible. Yeah.
And I watch people. And I can't tell you how many people, men included, will pretend they don't see me. They'll go fast, hurry, get in the door, let it close before they think I saw that they had an opportunity to do the right thing. That's the
Yeah, I
way
don't know what's happening with people today.
that's our
Um,
culture today. So that's why the unicorns are so special. The unicorns are the people who have all the trappings. They look good on paper. Everybody wants to meet them. They don't stay single for very long because they have a secure attachment style. They're not anxious, they're not needy, they're not clingy, they're not avoidant. They're whole, they're ready to engage. They want to be in a relationship, they care naturally about other people. How long do you think that guy stays single?
yeah. Well, yeah. Same thing with women too. I think if it almost feels like the most attached people, right? They get paired up fast. Which brings me to my to my depressing hypothesis, which is after a certain age, both men and women, the pool gets shallower. There are less options because the securely attached people will pair off. And what is left are the people who are unsecurely attached, who are
Yes,
avoidant.
yes, that's true. I studied that when I read Mimi Winsberg's book, Dr. Mimi Winsberg. You should have her on your show. She's amazing. She wrote the book Speaking in Thumbs. What
I
we can
think I
learn,
read that.
that's probably where you
Yeah.
found this information out. She did the research. And you're right that secure, securely attached people pair off quickly. And so they're out of the pool. But demographics are not fair. There's nothing fair about life in general. And certainly there's nothing fair about dating. So who has the advantage in the 20s and 30s? Women do. When I was 27, sure didn't feel like it, but I had the trump card. Sorry for the reference. I was the it girl. I was cute. I was pop. It didn't feel that way. I hated dating. And who has the trump card, the power card later in life? You guys do. Over the age of 65, 3 times as many single women as single men. So are all of these women who are single in their 50s, 60s, and 70s securely or insecurely attached? Nope. There are a bunch of really good ones and a bunch of really good men too. But the odds are super competitive for young men and older women. Young men are having less sex than any generation in the history of human beings. I have 2 boys in their early 30s. Neither one of them's getting any action at all, and they're both wonderful human beings.
Yeah, and that is causing real societal problems. People like sometimes I say that to folks, and they think it's a joke. I'm like, no, it's not a joke because the most dangerous human being is a young single man who is isolated, who doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't have a purpose. That is the fertile ground for dangerous ideologies, and this historically is true. And So in a societal level, it's a real problem. It's not just a personal problem. It's in societal level, it's a real problem. It's hard to find a solution for that because there are like you said, there is the natural flow of things where, yes, women have the advantage young, men have the advantage a little bit later in life. So that has been always been the case. But I think today, I hate to say the thing everybody says, but like because of social media, because of these unrealistic expectations on both sides, by the way, it's not just one-sided. We are more disconnected than ever. We are more adversarial than ever. Which is the disconnect is not even a problem. It's not even as big of a problem. The anger, the mistrust, the all of that negative stuff is I don't know how we solve it because it's so ingrained in people's minds.
We're solving it right now, Andre,
I hope
because
so.
the answer to all of it's why you have a podcast. It's why I have a podcast, because the answer to the evolution, the good, positive evolution of humankind is in our questioning, is in the curiosity, in the willingness, in the eagerness to learn and to wrestle with these issues and to develop our own solutions. Each one of us will have a different way of going about it. But if we have that element of growth orientation, interestingly, that's number 3. What always rises in a woman's list, her real list, once we really dig into it, it's more important than how much money he has. It's more important than, if he's tall or if he lives close by or is charismatic. Much more important is he growth oriented? Is he communicative? Does his elevator go up past the 2nd floor? Women were always asking me, Julie, can you find me a guy who's at my level? And I'm wondering if she's thinking money or emotional intelligence. Is one or the other? Often it's both. And what I'll say to women is, okay, look around when you're in a personal growth and development workshop. Who's there mostly? Is it mostly women? Is it mostly men? It's always mostly women and a few highly evolved men like yourself. And we love to see you there. We're more oriented around it. We're more driven to understand and to provide the richness and the texture of the human condition. So we'll study it. You guys are programmed to get out there and do the job and make the money and be competitive, even if it means a video game. So you're not driven that way. So what I ask women to do is look for a certain threshold, right? A certain threshold of willingness to engage in difficult conversations, learn how to say difficult things, learn how to pause before we scream and yell at each other, Are you interested in that? You want to get better at that? Awesome. Let's learn how to do that better together. I just sent a message to my husband who sits upstairs. I have the whole downstairs, except for boys club. There's like a whole sports thing in the downstairs of our house, and then I have this wonderful office, which is great. And they don't expect me to be as good as they are at Guitar Hero. Okay? Yeah. I don't expect my husband to come to me and say, you know what, Julie, we really need to sit down and talk about this whole thing because it's really been kind of a source of conflict. No, he's just going to storm around the house and be grumpy until I say, is this a good time to sit down and talk about that thing that keeps happening? Can we just like figure it out? I need a threshold of willingness. So this morning I sent him the marriage minute from Gottman, one of my podcast colleagues, Marina Edelman, sends it to me. And it's something about communication. So I thought, oh, is he going to be mad at me if I send it to him? If I ask him to read this 1 minute worth of, marital bliss, will he, scoff at it and throw it in the trash? I don't know. I haven't asked him yet, but I'm going to try, right? And I'm going to say, I get these every day, honey, but this one is a particularly good one for you and I both to work on. What do you think? I'll tell you later if he read it.
That'd be interesting to know. I don't know. I guess I'm always the kind of person that if there is a conflict, I want to resolve it now. Um, and that's good. That can be good or bad depending on the person that I'm dating at the time. Because I want to. I believe that problems don't get smaller if you ignore them; they just get bigger. So like a little tiny problem, you ignore that for a year or two, and all of a sudden it's like a catastrophe, right? So I'd rather just nip it in the bud, just go and, hey, this thing that happened, I want to talk to you about it because I didn't like it. It doesn't have to be a fight, right? It can just be a conversation.
You seem to be calm by nature. Do you have the ability to become a total asshole and yell and scream and slam doors? Do you ever get that way?
I don't lose control that way. I think what I find is like if a boundary has been crossed, right? Because I also believe in boundaries within a relationship. There are things that yeah, if I say, hey, this one thing is a problem for me, and if the person almost like does it, and like if we talk so many times about like boundaries, right? And if the person goes and crosses that specific boundary, depending how, like I could get pretty angry about it. I never, I don't attack the person. I attack the action, right? So I won't say like, oh, you were this or that because you did this. I'll just say, hey, this thing was fucked up. I really don't like this thing. So yes, I can definitely get that. I don't throw things or hit doors, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's more of like I will. How can I say it? I will vigorously defend my position. And try to get the point across in a logical way. And I can get very frustrated if that's just not happening. And I know that sometimes men and women, well, not sometimes, men and women, we almost communicate in different language. It's more like I can be logical all I want, but I know that women will respond to an emotion, the more emotionally, how can I say it? They speak an emotional language more than anything else. So sometimes my anger at the problem can come across as anger at her. And that doesn't help the situation because all she's hearing is anger, 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 anger at me. And she'll take it personally and then devolves to, we're not communicating at all. But no, I don't think, I try to be, for lack of a better word, stoic. Not in the sense of not having emotions, but in the sense of using emotions to my advantage, not to manipulate, but to convey and to create what I want, right? So sometimes I'm angry and I observe that I'm angry. I know it's just a feeling. It's not who I am. And sometimes that's positive. So if I'm at the gym, I'm lifting weights, I'm a little bit angry, great. Let that out. Use it here. If I'm afraid, maybe that's an indication that what's on the other side of that fear is something really positive, or it can be something very dangerous. So I listen to feelings, but I really try not to let them control me, if that makes any sense.
Yes, the secret to the evolution of human consciousness, which we very much need, our society, our culture needs it, the world needs it, is in exactly that type of an effort, Andre. You give a shit about this.
Yeah.
You care about the quality of your relationships enough to put yourself at risk and say, all right, there's this thing going on with my girlfriend, and it's not what I want, and I got to find a way to communicate it. I need to be sensitive to the fact that she might get emotional when we talk about it. You got to prepare yourself for it. And you have a unique ability to let someone finish a sentence before you jump in. That's an art.
Well, I went to acting school, and one of the things that they teach you to do is listen, because most of acting is listening. So,
Mm.
um, but I think I was a good listener. So, I used to be a lifetime ago. I used to be a personal trainer, and taking apart all the physical and the things that we do, we also become people's therapists a lot. Like people, well, it's like a hairdresser, it's similar too, but like with the trainer,
Totally.
you're seeing them 3 times a week, so you really get to know people. And I think a lot of it is it teaches you how to listen. A lot of my clients were female, so it taught me how to talk to women a lot. In a sense of, so I think when any boy is young, right? Like the scariest thing in the world for a young boy is an attractive woman. It's terrifying. And you rather face the lion in the forest than a beautiful girl that you're attracted to.
Is that
And
because
with
you're afraid you're going to get rejected if you approach?
I think so. And I think when you're young, you don't know how to deal with the rejection. I think when you're young, the biological reality of the rejection is you're not good enough to procreate with. And that is, and maybe in a good way, because here's the thing though, like you said, the game isn't fair. But I think in a very positive way, in most cases, maybe not now, maybe not how society is now, but in most cases, women have shaped society because they select who they procreate with more than men, right? A man can procreate with anybody, but a woman is more selective when it comes to that, and that selection in itself, in a in a very real way, shapes the world.
I love
Because it
it
will
when
say like this guy who has bad manners, doesn't take care of himself, doesn't want to do anything. This is not a good choice to procreate with. And like you said, when you're a young boy, when you're a young guy, right? You don't have a lot going for you. You don't know how to do anything. You know what I mean? Like you're not hardened by the world yet. You haven't learned even how to talk to a girl. So why would she give you the time of day? She won't, right? And then as you get older, you become better. You get hardened by the world. You learn skills. You learn how to manage your emotions more, right? Because you're like, oh, me being emotional, there's absolutely nothing, right? If I get angry at this guy that I'm doing business with, yelling and shouting at him does not solve the problem at all. Just creates more problems. So you learn how to manage that. Um,
And also,
yeah.
Andre, you learn how to fake it. That's where a lot of the charisma comes from. When somebody doesn't feel confident, but develops the skills to make people laugh, to command attention in a room, and they get accolades, that flame gets fed and they get more money from it. Ooh, I guess I should just be more charismatic and then I'll make more money and the girls will like me and blah, blah, blah. And then when the matchmaker looks under the surface, whoa, which I get to do through watching behavior, how he interacts with her in between when I give them the phone number and when they actually get on a phone call together, when they actually get a date set, when they actually go out on that date, and I hear the post date feedback, who the guy shows up to be, who that beautiful woman who everybody wants to meet shows up to be. might be very different than the way they're portrayed in their profile because they're faking it. And a lot of people are faking it. That's why charisma is dangerous.
Mm.
Because what
Yeah.
you really care about is your integrity and your character and your ability to communicate and your ability to actually care about another human being. This is exactly why, and you've articulated it so beautifully about the procreation part. Because, yes, women, unless it's a violent rape situation, we choose who's going to gain access to the kingdom on the inside, right? And we should be very, very careful about who we invite into that kingdom because you know about the effects of oxytocin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have oxytocin too, about a thimbleful compared to a gallon that we have. And whenever there's an orgasm, like you get a little bit of oxytocin just from having a juicy, wonderful hug. The Gottmans say a 6-second kiss. If you're going to kiss somebody, kiss them for 6 seconds because that's when the bonding thing starts to happen. So once that happens and oxytocin is flowing through our system, we can't see straight anymore because the great creator wants babies, for goodness sake. So we'll go ahead and jump in with that charismatic guy who told us all the right things and love bombed us and sent us flowers and took us to the Four Seasons and all this stuff. And all of a sudden we're in the bedroom with this guy. And now we really got it bad because he said, I love you and I want you're going to love my mother and we'll have so much fun when we go to Greece together. That's the kind of love bombing that I tell women to watch for. And do not go into that bedroom. Do not go south of the border. The border's right about here, okay? No going south of the border until you've had a conversation about what sex means to you, what it means to him. There's no right or wrong here. There's a lot of polyamory going on out there in the world right now, situationships where you might have a girl in Newport, you might have a girl in Connecticut, you might have one in London. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I don't want one of my female matchmaking clients sleeping with a guy who might have women in other places and doesn't think it's a big deal to have sex with several. It's not wrong, but if that's not what she's going for, and if monogamy is important to her, I tell her, keep your pants on, sweetie, until you've got the answer to that question. What does sex mean to you? And by the way, do you have herpes? And by the way, how do you feel about children if we get pregnant when we have sex the first time? And also, what's your primary dating purpose, Andre? Why are you even dating? I don't care what you say. You could be just dating a lot of people having fun. You could be licking your wounds from a bad breakup. You could be ready for your last first date and you're hoping it's me or the next person you get to meet. I just thought I'd ask that question because maybe I'm brand new at dating. I'm not anywhere near ready for solidifying a relationship. So we should just be friends and keep our pants on and have fun, maybe some kissy face, but nothing more than that until we're in the same place. You could always turn a friendship into a romance. Pretty hard to go back the other way, isn't it?
It's almost impossible. And I think that he made such great points there. One of the biggest lies that we've been fed today is that sex has no consequences. And it absolutely has consequences, which you listed a second ago. Being here in Atlanta and starting to do this work, what I've been finding, like I talk to people from all walks of life, people that I don't necessarily agree with, and I invite that, I welcome that, because I think debate is good. Again, I like to debate problems. I don't like to attack people necessarily. I think sometimes people can have different solutions to a problem, have good intentions, and be looking at something completely different than I am looking at. But what I've been finding here more is that the polygamy thing is more than I've ever seen before. And it's not coming from the guys a lot of the time. It's coming from the women's side. And I hate to use the analogy of fishing in the pond, right? But depending on where you are, depending on whatever that society thing is. So if let's say you're in a place where this polygamy thing is big, right? and you start dating the general population. Let's say I like to go dancing, right? I generally like to go salsa dancing, and I was taking salsa classes for a while. I will go back soon, but um, you meet a lot of people in that world who are into that for whatever reason.
I hear that a lot
And
about dancing. I hear that a lot.
yeah, right. And it's like I'm not into that. Like for me, that would be a no go, right? That I'm not saying it's not good for them. If they love it, then hey, God bless. Not my thing. Um, but um, but yeah, sometimes it feels like that. Sometimes it feels like you are fishing in a polluted pond, and everything that you surround, there's a lot of that you surround yourself that's not ideal. And sometimes what I find is when I was looking, um, is that I don't know where to go to find, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a religious person, so like church for me probably won't be ideal because that won't be authentic, right? I'm not gonna go there just because I want to meet somebody. I would go there for faith, and then if I met somebody there, then great. The same thing with the dancing. Like I go there to dance, and then if I meet people, if I meet a woman there, great. Um,
The
but
perfect breeding ground for a guy like you is personal growth and development workshops,
that was gonna
yoga.
be my question.
Yeah. Yeah. That
uh,
if a guy shows up, like I'm thinking of this wonderful man in my community. I met him maybe 20 years ago at an Allison Armstrong workshop. Do you know Allison?
no.
Oh, she's incredible. She's my favorite relationship guru. And she had a class back then, an all day class that she would run in Los Angeles at one of these big monster hotel room ballrooms called Understanding Women. And there was a man that I met there. His name is Jeff. Beautiful man, could be your brother. And the fact that he was there all day long with the purpose of understanding us girls. Whoa, do you think he's on a pedestal? Do you think everybody wanted to sit next to him and have a one-on-one with him and try to figure out who is this man? Yeah, men should do that. They should be courageous enough to go to yoga classes. They should be courageous enough to go to something that's interesting to them. And women should be going to computer classes and learning how to fix tires and things like that.
I wouldn't let a girlfriend fix a tire though, but I'm old.
See? Are you
I'm
kidding
old
me?
style.
Oh, my husband's so funny. If there's a broken tire, he'd be looking at me like, you know how to fix it, right? There are, my husband, we've been married for 35 years. And I think part of the reason why we're still married is because I know too much about dating and how hard it is. And I'm like, honey, we got to work this out. Neither one of us wants to be out there, right?
No, you don't. No, stay married. Yeah, that's too funny. I don't know, but like sometimes like you feel like if you want to do all these things, right? If you want to open doors or fix a tire, like I wouldn't like if I went out with a girl, I wouldn't let her pay. Like I
You
just
wouldn't.
wouldn't. No. Like,
So,
you know.
okay, that's perfect. On a first date, I really like to see the guy springing for it and only suggesting a date that he's happy to pay for, even if he never
Yeah.
sees her again, right? So that
Mhm.
might be sitting on a park bench at a dog park, and you bring your water and you bring your cookies, and you sit there and nobody spent any money at all. It might be a coffee date. It might be lunch or dinner. I've got a guy right now who's working with me as my matchmaking client. He's an absolute dream client. I wish I could clone him. And he loves fine dining. He's like me. If it lands in San Francisco, he's going to find the nicest restaurant or the nicest hotel, and he's going to hang out there and have a salad and look around and talk to people. But not most guys are not like that. And if they're single for a long time and they've done a lot of first dates and a lot of second dates, and they've gotten to the fifth date and they're paying and they're paying and they're courting and they're doing the right thing, and then they get enough of this. Oh, you know what, Andre, I'm getting back together with my old boyfriend. You know, there's this other guy that I met on Match.com, and I think he's a better fit for me. So I really appreciate the $1,200 that you spent on me and all of your time and all of your attention and all of your sweet text messages, but I'm going now. Bye.
Yeah.
That happens enough to a guy, and you know what happens? His financial advisor sits him down and says, Andre, you are not on target with your financial goals. And Andre says, well, that's because I'm dating, for goodness sake, and I'm dating
Yeah.
these beautiful women and they expect it. So if a guy's 5 dates in and a woman hasn't offered to do anything, not even drive to your neck of the woods, not even make a quiche and bring it to the picnic, ooh, I'm,
It
I'm,
has to be reciprocal. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think that's when guys get bitter, right? Which you can see some guys will get bitter about that. That seems to be the first thing that they bring up is that it is true. I mean, it is a financial investment that you do in the beginning, especially like if you like I said, I just wouldn't the bill wouldn't even be a problem. I just would pay it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
But
guys will get resentful. You're right, Andre.
yeah,
Guys will get resentful if they have forked out a lot of time, energy, interest, patience. They've been doing the right thing and courting her properly. And then she blows him off. If that happens to him enough time, he will get bitter and he will get resentful and he'll start thinking women are takers. Now, on the other side, when there's not sufficient communication before the bedroom happens, how many times do you think women have come to me in a puddle of tears? On a
oh yeah.
Monday morning, have I ever gotten the phone call? Damn, Julie, I wish I'd slept with that guy. You think that ever happens? Ever? Ever? No. They're in a puddle of tears because they thought he was giving her the signs that he liked her and he wanted to carve her out and focus just on her. And he said all the right things and he looked at her dreamy and he's hunky and he has a BMW and he says he wants children, right? We paint these like fairy tale fantasies in our head. And if it happens to us enough times where we sort of slip into the bedroom, you know that's why the great creator put alcohol on the planet, don't you? One word answer. Procreation. There's a reason why guys like to buy girls drinks because we're like, woohoo, let's play.
So it's funny that you say that. So I don't drink at all, just because
Good.
I don't like it. It was never a thing. I think when I was maybe 24, 25, I would drink. It means like I would have a beer and I would pass out because I was such a lightweight, and I really didn't like it. It's like this is stupid. It fucks up with my workouts. I don't like it. And so people automatically assume that you have a problem. You have a problem with alcohol because I don't drink. And sometimes going out, um, it becomes that. It becomes people automatically will ask you. So if I'm out on a date and I don't drink, why not? And then I have to explain, But sometimes, like I remember being actually in Santa Monica, and this girl was like, she was a bit of a drink. I don't think she had a problem, but she liked to drink. And I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and buy drinks for you. I'm drinking water. I mean, we can talk, but I love the interaction's great, but I'm not gonna,
Have you actually had
and
the
that
courage
ended
to
right there, which is
have
good.
yeah. So have you actually had the courage to say that, Andre? I'm not really a drinker at all, and I know that you are. And so, a glass of wine is $18, and by the time you've had a second one or a third one, I'm sitting here with my sparkling water, and I got a $55 bill to pay. Oh, plus the tip. Oh, plus valet parking, right? Have
Yeah,
you actually said it?
I have told them to order their own drinks.
And did you get the second date?
No, no, it ended right there. Yeah, but you know what though? Sometimes, but that's a good thing because we would have been such a mismatch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That you're better off knowing in the beginning
yeah.
that investing, time and money, and for her and for me. So like we know in the beginning. By the way, like if I went out, like for example, on a date and we were at dinner and she orders whatever, like a glass of wine, yeah, of course I'll pay for that, right? I think that's different than you out in a bar, which by the way is not a good place to find people anyways.
Right.
um so yeah, so the drinking thing is sometimes a deal breaker for people, but
Hmm.
the more and more I find is like you said, like the more you work on yourself and you gain this confidence, when you get this quote unquote rejection, you have to analyze and say, okay, well, is there something about that I'm being rejected because there are things about me that I legitimately need to work on? Or am I getting rejected because this person wants me to be at a lower level, like drinking, not working out, eating crap, eating junk food, like with them? If that's the
Mhm.
reason I'm getting rejected, then that's a really good feedback,
That
right? Like,
is.
so not all rejection is negative necessarily. Sometimes you get rejected because you're,
Yeah.
you
You,
know,
you dodged a
um,
bullet, is what you did. I'm
yeah.
thinking about this one gentleman client that I have. I know him very well. I think he's pretty close to being in the relationship that he's been dreaming about for the 20 years that I've known him. He's growth oriented, little bits at a time. But there's one area that I haven't been able to impact, and it's this one. He's the guy who loves to have a martini, loves it if she joins him, that whole loosening up and laughing at his jokes and the whole thing. He's really happy if they have a second one together, and then she's really getting loosey goosey. Now, he's not the guy who wants to take her into the bedroom, he's slow to do that. But he wants to, it's like he wants to control her mood. My husband
Mm.
doesn't drink, doesn't like it, just like you. I like to have a glass of wine. Sometimes I'll have the second one, and he doesn't like me when I am in that place. So, is he trying to control my mood by putting a cap of one drink on Julie Ferman? Perhaps. Is this other guy trying to control her mood by wanting her to drink with him? It's control, I think. And sometimes.
That's really fun. That's really interesting because, yeah. So maybe there's a little bit of control, but I don't know if that's necessarily
Well, because you,
always negative. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I,
not in your case, because you
yeah.
have a higher purpose, Andre. Your higher purpose is consciousness and contributing to the world and causing the betterment of our culture. You have a higher purpose. You're not drinking and ideally being well suited for a woman who's either a very light drinker or doesn't drink at all. For you, it's not about control, it's about contribution, for goodness sake. You're here with a purpose. You don't want to dampen your purpose. My nephew is this brainiac. Brainiac. Never got anything but an A in school or college. He's just lighting the world on fire at about 27 in Houston right now. He's just an amazing kid. He says, why would I want to drink alcohol? Why would I want to smoke pot and mess with this gift?
The brain, yeah.
Why would
Right.
I want to do that? I can't think of any good reason. So, he may sip a glass of wine for the entire Thanksgiving dinner, but I've never seen him drunk and he never will be.
Yeah. My poison is coffee. I do like a good cup of black coffee with no sugar. So,
Is there a problem with that, Andre?
sometimes if you do too much, it can be, but I try to slow it down. I think I would say the theme with most guys, right, is that especially if they're not very experienced with women, I think the theme is like they go out on a date with the expectation of gaining something. And I think, and maybe you can speak about that, but I think that women can detect that. Like if I go talk to a girl and I'm expecting to get her to do X, Y, and Z, right? That's gonna come across loud and clear. And I think that, like, I'm not really great at asking questions when I go out on a date. I'm more of like I don't ask direct questions. Like I'm really bad at saying like, "Oh, Julie, so what do you want to do for your life? How many kids you're gonna have, or whatever." I think my thing is more like I want to have authentic conversations, and I want to find out about like a deeper connection. Have a deeper connection. Find out deeper things than I want to do. Like it's not a job interview. And sometimes I feel like these guys go out thinking this is a job interview, and B is how can I do the thing to get her to do the other thing?
Yeah, it's the same for women. We're interviewing you to see if you could be our provider protector, if you could make the mark. And a lot of that has to do with status, ego, culture, what will people think? If I settle it, if I end up with the guy who's 5'6", did I settle for the short guy?
Hmm.
If a guy ends up with a woman who's 4 years older, did he settle for the older woman? Right? This is like status stuff. And it's not, it's taking energy. All right. So when we feel like somebody's preying upon us, it feels like you're looking down my blouse, right? It's like I can tell this guy is wanting to become sexual. He wants to focus on that element of the relationship. It feels like taking, and it feels gooey and ucky and awful, and just we don't want it. The same way you would feel if we're on a first date and I say, so tell me about your net worth, and where did you go to college, and what's your goal for the future? How many millions do you think you need to have before you retire? Oh, and by the way, when do you think you're going to want to have your first child? How does that feel? It's taking energy, right? What's in it for me? I want a baby yesterday, and are you qualified to give me that baby? It's like, ew.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that, and that's the unfortunate thing. It's like I think social media teaches you to look for that because I think people want what other people want, right? It's not necessarily what you want. It's not necessarily what like I'm told by social media that I have to have a supermodel girlfriend, right? Doesn't matter how she treats me. Doesn't matter how the relationship is, right? I need to have a supermodel girlfriend so that my friends can look at me and be like, "Wow, Andre's
Yes,
got this beautiful
yes.
girl." And it's like, how does that love? Right?
It
Because you're
sips.
supposed to love the people with their imperfections, right? That's the whole point of it. That I don't need to be perfect all the time. I am going to fall. I am just a human being. I am
Yeah.
going to fall. I am going to have moments of doubt. I am going to have moments where my plans don't work out. Um, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to
Yeah.
get old.
Yeah.
And then what? Then just throw me away? Like,
Yeah.
why would I want that? You know?
This is why the work that you and I are both doing, naturally we were drawn toward the environment of personal growth, development, impacting culture in a positive way. More important now than ever, because think about it. I don't know what your family of origin was like, but in my family, I was blessed. We had a mother and a father. I had an older brother. I had a younger sister. We always had dogs. We had a farm in the country. We were hardworking people. And my mother cared about my education. She made sure she knew when my science test was going to be because she knew that was a hard one for me. She knew when my building projects were happening so she could oversee it, make sure I was doing it myself, but not messing up, right? And they taught us values and morals. And I ask people now about your family of origin. Half the time, well, their parents didn't stay together. They were mostly with just the mom, or, they didn't have the advantage that I had and that so many other people had. Our culture is fractured now because what's happening is instead of having conversations at dinner, people are on their phones, looking at their phones, getting their beeps and buzzers instead of listening to what dad had to say. Is dad even at the dinner table? Not necessarily. Is mom at the dinner table? Oh no, she's got a company. She's off in Paris doing her thing. Culture tells us that what matters is being beautiful and having money and having stature and status and being popular. It has nothing to do with the quality of our relationships. This is where the rubber meets the road. So thank you for doing this work.
Oh, I mean, I think it we this channel is in its infancy, and I am drawn to topics like this. I'm drawn to debate. I'm drawn to these deeper conversations. We talk a lot about filmmaking too because that's what my background is in. It's on. But I think it's funny that you mentioned the your father and your family. So my father passed away when I was 12, and that absolutely impacted me in a lot of ways, positive and negative, because I think it forced me to grow up faster because he wasn't there. But it also, the influence that he would have, positive or negative, were absent for many, many years, right? Like I think it's important. Like sometimes your mother's great because she will nourish you and she'll, you know, pat you in the head. But sometimes you need to get beat up by your dad a little bit and hear some hard truth that your mother's just not gonna she's not gonna do it. So the absence of the father it was a big deal. But and I think that caused me to be a bit avoidant for a long time. and to be in that side of the spectrum, as a source, as a way to protect myself against loss, because death has been really a great teacher over my life. It teaches me that I am not entitled to tomorrow. It could be gone. And if I don't do what I have to do today, it may never happen. Right. So I have to do it. And all the shit that you have, like, it's going to be here. Other people are going to take it. The jackals will be out the second that the casket goes in the ground. And I gotta follow my purpose, because if you don't, then what the fuck is the point of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Can
know?
I ask, what's your relationship situation now?
I'm single now. I've been single for about 6 months, 7 months.
What would you say I could probably guess, but what would you say are your most important top 3 critical criteria? You'd rather be single forever than partner with somebody who didn't have these elements. What are those elements for you?
Well, loyalty is number 1. Integrity. I would say kindness too, because
See?
I think we need a soft place to land. Right? I don't need to live in a soft place because the world is hard. And, but sometimes you need a soft place to land. I need that polar opposite of me, for lack of, I hate to use the word incorrectly, but the feminine energy. I need that because that is very nurturing. I don't need a masculine person around me. I need a feminine person around me. So that is very important. The physical thing is not. I mean, obviously, attraction is important. You have to have physical attraction, otherwise, it's a friendship. It's not a romantic relationship.
It's the first threshold for a guy. I don't fight you on that. I don't fight you on it. You guys, when we do those consultations, we're looking at people together. It takes you about a half a second to give me the no. Nope. Sorry, Julie. No. Ooh. Oh. Tell me more about Jackie. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, again, for some guys, unfortunately, that's the only requirement. And I have clients, I have friends that I tell them all the time, is like, listen, you can't just be looking at the looks, man, because that's going to be fun for about 3 weeks. And then you're going to see the real problem. And then trust me, there's no amount of good sex that's going to overcome the amount of crap you're going to have to put up with if it's not the right person, if the person's treating you badly, right? Like, what? It doesn't go anywhere. It really doesn't go anywhere.
Well, let me ask you a really challenging question. A lot of women won't like this question, but do you find that let's just look at, like, bring to mind the best sex you've ever had, like 2 or 3 of the women that it was just unbelievable sexual experience over time. Were they the most beautiful women you ever dated or not?
That is a good question. I would say, what we're talking about, top 3? 2 of them, yes. 1 of them, no.
The reason I ask is because I've often heard from men that they really feel like they're trapped because they find themselves compelled to date the most beautiful women, and yet very often when it finally gets to the bedroom, they suck in the bedroom, is what they tell me. Often they'll tell me that. And if she's always focused on herself,
right.
The reason why it's hard for me to trust men or women who are thoroughly beautiful, really well groomed, you could tell they spend a ton of time and energy and money in the gym, Botox, all that stuff, is because what's the source of their need to do that, right? There's a woman I know really well, and she looks like Barbie. She's got really good values, good character, but an avoidant attachment style, right? And men are consistently asking me, there's got to be a reason why she has to be so perfect all the time on her social media, on everything that she never wakes up not looking perfect because her eyelashes are bolted in. Everything is she wakes up and she's like, ready, camera ready. Guys don't trust it.
Yeah. I think because, well, let's put it this way. being let's say objectively beautiful woman, 11 out of 10, right? Um, modeling contract, everything. Uh, that is the same as like a Justin Bieber kind of lifestyle. The amount of attention that this person gets, it's not what the reality of most human beings, right? Like an 11 out of 10 probably is going to be at a yacht, have a modeling contract, guys, the top guys talking to her all the time. She doesn't have to grow. It's just like a celebrity. They don't have to grow. They don't have to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the problem is me. Like they don't have the self-inflection. And, and again, maybe some people, there's a unicorn out there who does. But I think if you're given everything, like a celebrity, right? All you have is yes man around you. You are never going to face that failure. That's a teaching moment. That's going to say, "Hey, this didn't work. Why?" You can either blame the world because of it, or you can look at yourself and say, "What did I do wrong, and how can I fix it?" And I think that you know, and I see this a lot with guys who have a lot of money. Sometimes
Yes, it's the same thing.
it's the same
Men
thing,
with a lot
right?
of money. Yeah, it's like the guy who pulls up to Mastro's in his Ferrari. You think there aren't women hanging out at the bar at Mastro's waiting for a guy like that to walk in? And maybe he just got divorced and he was a flaming asshole. But he pulls up in the Ferrari and the ladies are all lined up. Same thing that happens with a woman who's drop dead gorgeous. She never had to clean up her mess because there's always somebody else out there courting her. And this is so prevalent in our culture today. So I really encourage people to slow down the dating process. Be very careful about who it is that you're choosing and allowing yourself to be chosen by. If it's only the usual suspects and that's it, ooh, I don't like your chances. There's this great lady who's in Milwaukee and she does coaching with me, and she's 5'9" and she's very successful. I love what you said about a guy needs to come home to a soft place to land. He needs to know that she can be in her feminine, which is receptive, vulnerable, um, accessible. He needs that. Well, boss lady is not trained in that way. So this lady is
No.
boss lady, but she's like you and me. She works on herself, and she always had the 6 feet or taller thing. She's only dated 6 feet or taller because she's 5'9", and when she wears her shoes, well, stupid shoes. I'd like to just cut off every freaking pair of high heels, because what's more important, the stupid shoes and how you feel and how you look in your stupid shoes, or the quality of the interaction you're having with the human being across the table? So I said to her, all right, we've been doing coaching now for 6 months. I've been watching over her online dating stuff. She's got the same results over and over and over again. I said, here's what you're going to do next month. Do you trust me? She says, yes, of course, Julie, I trust you. I said, you're going to change your Bumble and your Match.com criteria. And this next month, you are only going to look at men who are exactly 5'11". She's like, oh, no, but I know you think you do. But he hasn't been getting my shoe. I know. So she did it. And she was like, wow, I've never seen some of these men. I'm like, of course, because you've got your stupid filters set where everyone else does. Do you know the percentage of men that are over 6 feet tall? It's like 13%. She didn't know that. So then the next month, you know what I did? 5'10". Only 5'10". We got down to 5'8". All right. Every month we did it. And she learned so much. And you know what she said to me? She said, Julie, I'm going to continue to date men who are shorter, on the shorter side, because you know why? They try so much harder. They
Well,
don't get
yeah.
blood because so many women have their things set at 6 feet. Those guys get spoiled rotten, like the beautiful woman who looks like Courtney Cox gets picked all day long.
Yeah, and it creates that. I think it's like, are you familiar with the Pareto principle?
Which principle?
The Pareto principle.
No,
It's
send me
also
the link.
called the 80-20 rule. It's
Oh,
actually in the Bible as well.
yeah.
So basically, what it says is like 80% of the effort goes to the spoils of 80% of the effort goes to 20% of the people, right? So in dating, for example, 20% of the men get all the matches, 80% get nothing. And you see these the Pareto principle um, in nature in many different ways. So you see it in populations of cities. 80% of the cities have 20% of the population. So you see it in nature over and over again. You see even in the human body in some ways, and you see it in dating quite a bit. But it's even more than 80-20, where like as far as males go, I think it's only like 5% of males on dating apps get get 95% of the matches because exactly what you're saying, like, because you can, when people think they have a choice, right? Unlimited choice, which is not true. It's a fallacy to think you have unlimited choice for anybody. And when you're putting these filters on, you think you're setting choice, because I can just pick. I'm ordering from Amazon. What do I want? And yeah, so like that's what causes that inequality when it comes to dating. It's like very few guys are getting all the women, and most of the guys are getting nothing.
You have been listening to Scott Galloway, haven't you?
That sounds very familiar.
Yep.
The name sounds familiar.
He
Yeah.
studied it, and it's fascinating and it's alarming. It's why I
Mm.
encourage people, like, if they can't help it, they have to go for the it girl, they have to go for the it guy, and they've got access to such a person. Sure, absolutely, have the date. Look for evidence of the things that really matter. Don't get rubbernecked, don't get hooked. Look for integrity, look for communication, look for kindness, look for his capacity, her capacity to actually care about someone, right? I was walking down the street the other day, and I'm watching this couple up in front of me, and something fell out of her handbag, and the guy she was with didn't notice it, didn't pay attention. She didn't know it happened, and I watched somebody from behind me run up, grab it, and hand it to her and say, "I didn't want you to lose this. I saw you. I noticed it fell out of your purse." She had a guy. He wasn't trying to pick her up. He did that because he's a kind person and he cares about other human beings. That's the kind of stuff you want to look for.
Yeah.
So it's just beautiful. So it's not bad that you go for the it person. Fine. Accept the invitation. Be on guard. Look for the qualities that matter. If you don't see them, keep it as a friendship a little bit longer. You're still not seeing integrity. You're not seeing effort. You're not seeing communication. How you compensate for your inclination to look for the it person, pay attention to who else is interested in you, all right? Especially women, because you don't develop attraction over time for us girls. We can. Maybe I usually go for redheads. Maybe I usually go for blonde guys. Maybe I like black guys. But all of a sudden, I'm in the presence of this guy, Andre, and he's off type for me. But wait a minute. I feel great in his presence, incredible integrity. Wow, he pursues me. He's funny. We're comfortable together. I wonder if I could actually develop an attraction for a tall, brown-headed white dude. Well, let's find out. As long as you're doing that too, you will not miss your opportunities.
Yeah, because I think people miss a lot of opportunities because the person comes in a different package, right? It's not the package that they wanted. It's a little bit off brand, and they think that's a bad thing. I, I think that, to give myself credit here, but the look thing was never the thing for me. Even when I was young, of course, again, attraction has to be there. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. But for me, it was always the character was number one, right? What's this person's character? And if it's a different, yeah. Do I have a okay? So generally speaking, I'm more attracted to blonde women. And it's just a thing. I can't help it. If a blonde woman walks by, I am going to notice. Does that mean does it mean that like I'm not attracted to other women? Of course not. Doesn't mean that at all, right? And it doesn't even mean that I'm gonna go out looking for blonde women today, right? It's like I think it's more of like it's in a one it's in a per person basis, you
Yeah.
know? I also think that a person who you may not think is generally attractive when you meet them, after you talk to them for a while, you can develop an attraction because of the personality of the person, right? And maybe for men, that doesn't happen all the time. But I think if guys give it a little bit of a chance, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a chance. I'm not saying like go for somebody who's completely off,
It's
but
like wiggle room. It's wiggle room.
a little
And the
bit of a
same
wiggle
thing will
room. Yeah.
happen. A woman is phenomenally gorgeous, and you get with her, and she's like looking around. She's not present. She's not, she's just not kind to anybody.
Yeah, that
You're
doesn't work.
in it. So tell me something. This is
Hmm.
this is something I love to
I
ask.
like when you ask me questions too. Feel free to do
Oh my
that.
gosh, it's so much fun. Um, I have a theory, and it's related to a man's need to be attracted. All right. I started out working with people mostly in their 30s, 40s, some 50s. Well, I've been doing this now for 35 years. So a lot of those people are an older demographic. I still work with young people, but I've got a huge concentration of people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. I cannot tell you how many wonderful, incredible men I have in my world who are literally not dating at all. They're on the sidelines because the women they're attracted to, they don't have a shot at anymore.
Hmm.
This one guy, I got him married and I got his son married too. It was great. And both of them ended up divorced. Well, one was widowed, the other one got divorced. So I got to work with both of them a second time. And he's just on the sidelines completely. He's still attracted to the same women he was attracted to 20 years ago when he hired me. And he doesn't have a shot at them anymore. And so I drill in with men and I try to find out what the reason is. Sometimes what I think it is instinctively, intuitively, without even conscious thought, they're worried that when they get into the bedroom, things aren't going to work if he's not sufficiently attracted. Tell me what you think about that.
Hmm. That's very interesting. It
Isn't it a
could be
great fear of men that
that's not at the time when you're with the woman. It's not going to work. It's a complex problem. It could be many things. Um, Generally speaking, I would say the men are attracted to younger women, and they probably will always be attracted to younger women. And again, whether they have a shot or not, right? If the guy's 80, the 20-year-old girl is not, unless he's paying for it, she's not gonna be interested, right? Like, um, so
I'm going to keep that little quote and I'm going to use it. All right.
please do, and you can refer people to the channel. You know, let them know where you got the quote from.
I
But
will.
yeah, so I think it's I think it's that. I think it's so there is a biological reality to it. Um,
And part of it is about having children, right? The great creator wants babies. The
right.
great creator, babies can't happen without an erection, right? It's pretty hard to rape a guy, right? He's got to be intrigued, interested at some level. Otherwise, it can't happen. So naturally, men are going to be more attracted to women of childbearing years. It's almost like they can sense the fertility, they can smell the fertility, they're drawn toward it. I don't know if it's the smell or the look or all of it together. They can't help it. And the guy will say, I
No,
can't
right.
help what I'm attracted to. I'm like, ho, ho, ho. We are not talking about a what. We're talking about a who. All right. We're not talking about a physical package. We're talking about a human being who happens to be in a physical package. And it's like, oh, well, you know what I meant. I'm like, yes, I do. This is why you're still single. You're approaching women as if they are the object of your attraction. Ew, cut it out.
Right. Well, and that's the definition of psychopathy, right? If I am um using you for my own gain, right? So part of there's that thing about objectifying a person, right? Um, and again, it's I don't know, it's a nuanced thing, but like I can be attracted to a person, but it's a person, right? It's a woman, it's a human being, right? Like me. So it's like it's not just the sex. It never well for me, it's never just the sex, right? It has to be the it's just part of the components. But I would also say that there are women who age beautifully. Could they, you know, in a blind test, you know, match the 20-year-old version of themselves? Probably not. But there's a lot of attractive older women too.
Yeah.
I dated an older woman that was very attractive. So I had had a few age gap relationships. One of them is younger, and two of them are older by a good clip, by 10 plus years older. and one of them is 8 years younger than me. And throughout the course of my life, so age was never like a thing. It was more, again, it's the person and the attraction that I have with that person, the connection I have with the person. You know, I had a friend who told me that before. He says, "Oh, I'm not attracted to women my age, and I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to, you know, uh, perform my duties when time came." And I was like, "Yeah, but maybe you're just looking at the wrong women, I don't know."
It's lovely that he had the courage to actually articulate that. This is the reason why in 2013 I stopped revealing age on profiles.
Hmm.
So if I share a profile with you, I will always go to the guy first and say, Andre, how's timing? Oh, timing's great, Jewel. Who you got? Well, Caroline, what do you think of Caroline? She's right there in Atlanta. I just talked with her today. She's amazing. And I was thinking about you. What do you think? And you're going to say to me, she looks, well, maybe not you because you're kind of an evolved human, but typically a guy will say, Caroline looks great, Julie. How old is she? Well, you know how I don't reveal your age on your profile, Andre? Oh, yes, I love that part, Julie. That's my favorite. Guess what? I'm not revealing hers either. Her photos are current. She just had them taken with my photographer. I just got off my Zoom call with her. She's an incredible woman. If you're available and you're intrigued and you're interested, give me the yes for meeting her. Then I get to share your profile with her. Why will I not show your profile to her first?
I would guess it's because you think that the guy is going to be more hypercritical of the image, of the pictures, of the looks. Is
Yes.
that
Yes. And we don't know that about you guys. And when we find out, we're pissed. We're like, man, they're so superficial and shallow. No, sweetie, he has equipment that needs to work for the babies to be born on the planet. But he's 72. Why does he care about? He's still got it. It's wired.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've had people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s dating. My mother-in-law, Feisty Frida Ferman, was dating into her 90s. Do you want to know what her critical criteria was at that point in her life? Most important than anything?
What was it?
You could drive at night.
Oh, nice.
That's
important. That's important.
Once the Honda ended up on the mailbox, we're like, Frida, give me the keys. You can't drive around anymore. We didn't have Uber back then. So if the guy could drive her around, she didn't care if he smelled. She didn't care if he had teeth. She didn't care if he could even hear. Just get me where I need to go, dude.
There was so for the people that don't do online dating like myself, and maybe that's a problem. I would admit to that. Maybe I should, but I haven't. One of the things that I find is approaching people in real life today seems harder than ever. And I have a hypothesis about, well, I have a hypothesis of what the mechanics of the problem. Seems to me that it's two things. Women are not dropping the handkerchief anymore. And guys are very afraid of being accused of something. Right, because if there's no feedback, for me, if there's no feedback from the woman, like if I am in a restaurant and this person's haven't noticed me at all, let's say she's talking to her mother and in deep conversation, for me, that's a sign she does not want to be approached, right? She's doing something else and there's no feedback whatsoever. So I think it's I never do it, but I find that'd be a problem. It's like there is no, but sometimes the girl wants to be approached, but she's not dropping the handkerchief. She's not giving any signs, and then the guys are afraid. But I want to get your take on that problem.
This is my playground. This is my sandbox. This is my superpower. Is the art of social magnetism. So there are two reasons, and you hit on both of them for why men aren't approaching women like they used to. One is because of the Me Too thing. They don't want to be that creepy guy. Really good men are not approaching women. My two sons are both this way. They're waiting for a signal. Now, the dropping of the hanky, I teach this. It's so simple. Ladies, are you listening? First thing, hold eye contact. My grandma taught me how to do this. You hold eye contact, you look away, you look back, you smile again. Then he knows the smile's for him. That's the equivalent of dropping the first hanky. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. And when I
Absolutely.
say this, in my boot camp, in the third week, we go out and practice this. And men will come back to me and say, Julie, I can't believe it. I went to all 5 places that I always go. Went to the dry cleaners, went to Sprouts, I went to get my car washed, I got la la. And I couldn't get one attractive woman to hold eye contact with me. They got their sunglasses on, they're looking at their stupid phones, they got their ear things in. They are telling the world, do not approach me, right? And then he'll even try to hold eye contact and can't get her to do that. And she's got the dark glasses on, so we can't even see if her eyes are pointed in his direction. When we do that as women, we basically become untouchable, unapproachable, and in a way, the enemy. So the secret is, ladies, take those glasses off, play with it. And if you don't know how to do it with a guy, practice with the little old ladies first, right? You just go into the grocery store with the purpose of bringing smiles to faces. If you've never done this, this is my challenge to you. Bring smiles to faces, the little old man, the lady with the kid, the person with the dog. Practice making people feel good for no good reason at all. You're practicing the skill so that when you need it, you've got it. So the first level of flirting, of course, is the eye contact. The second level of flirting, we're all good at pretty much. You know, you're in line at the Department of Motor Vehicles. You end up talking to somebody about, oh my gosh, I thought there was going to be a long line and there's no line. Oh, I thought this was going to be short, but look at how bad the line is. Or you're at the grocery store and you end up talking about chunky monkey ice cream or watermelons, right? You've done it. That's the second level. We're usually good. It's a comment, it's a question, it's a compliment. God, I love a guy who lets his hair grow a little long in the back. You just want to play with it.
My mother hates it. She's like, you have to cut your hair.
Well, first of all, I want to say something about your mother. I predict that she's a woman of solid moral character.
Yes.
Is she? That's it. I got shivers. I know she does. So tell your mama I love her. But then the third level of flirting is where we all fall apart. Let's see if I got one of my cards here. Hang on. Okay, here's a good one. All right. So this is my client who's in a beautiful relationship right now because I taught her what to do. In my boot camp, I have everyone create a calling card. All right. So this is a photo, just a nice smiling face shot. You need that. And then there's another photo on the back that gives you more a sense of her body type. And it's got a phone number on it, but it's not a real number. It's a Google Voice number. Google Voice is very powerful because a woman doesn't want to give you her phone number because she doesn't know if you're a good guy or not. She doesn't trust you yet. But if Anne says, Andre, so fun to meet you. Here's how to find me. Oh, and by the way, my friends and I plan some really fun events. If you happen to be single, we'll invite you. I teach people to let those words roll off their tongue. I cannot tell you how many couples are in relationship right now because I taught a woman how to have the courage to be sticky out there in the world. Great to meet you. Here's how to find me. One of my clients doesn't like to do it with a card. She just says, you're fun. You know what? My friends and I plan parties all the time. If you're single, we'll invite you. Oh, actually, yeah, that'd be fun. You might not be attracted to me. You might like tall, leggy brunettes, and I'm anything but. But you might be thinking, well, I'm not attracted to Julie, but maybe she's got friends who are tall, leggy brunettes, right? That's what the guys are thinking. And you might say, well, I've got a girlfriend right now, but it's really fun to know that you do these parties. Okay, here's what to do. Check in with me if you end up breaking up with your girlfriend or she dumps you or whatever, and I'll invite you to our next party. How do I find you? And then you put the cell number into your phone, you send the message, get to the car. Before you think of anything else, send the message. Andre, so fun to meet you. Good luck with this relationship. I hope she's your keeper forever. If that ends up not happening, keep my number handy because you'd be the perfect person to invite to my next big fun event. Does that feel okay to you?
Wow, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. Because I think,
That's what men tell me all the time.
yeah, well, there is this idea out there that men shouldn't have female friends. And which I think I see where it comes from in a way. Again, anything has a dark side and a positive side. But I say that there is more positive than negative because exactly what you said is like, you could be married and you could be not in the market at all, but you have other female friends. And introduction, I mean, I don't have to tell you, you know this. The introduction is so powerful because you already vetted me. If I'm really your friend, like if you and I really connect and we're really friends, right? and you have, Susie Q, that's also also good friends with you. Um, the introduction from you is so much more powerful than any cold approach, anything that anybody can do, any online dating, because you already vetted me
Hmm.
and you probably already know my personality type, her personality type. Um, there is something very powerful about what you do, um, that,
People definitely trust my introductions. Like they will come to me because they need somebody watching them. They need somebody who's got their
yeah,
back.
right.
And it just
Because I think
happened.
we are not always the right people to find, because I have all my biases, right? Like I have all my biases, my insecurities, my whatever, right? And and because it's, I think finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend, it's such an emotionally charged thing. Um, it, like I can be blinded by my own ignorance, right? When it comes to choosing the person. But if you have a third party looking at it, I mean, and of course, like somebody ethical like you, or a good friend, that person's vetting both sides a little bit and saying,
Yeah.
hey, these two will be okay, these two, nah, not so much. Because I think we have too many biases when it comes to finding love, you know?
And what you said is true. We have our blind spots. We all do. We can't know what we don't know yet. So I know things that my client might not know. Classic example, there was a woman named Leslie years ago in Pacific Palisades, and she was just beautiful, blonde, sunny, all the good stuff. Really a true unicorn because she was as good on the inside as she appears to be on the outside. But she had an issue, and the issue was she hired me as her matchmaker. We did a series of introductions. We did 10 introductions together. She likes the Clooney type. She always has. And so tall, dark, and handsome. She likes your type, okay? So we did a series of those introductions. We didn't get past the third date with any of them. It's the end of her program, and I know she was a little bit discouraged, a little bit disappointed, like, gosh, I spent all this money and I didn't meet my partner. In my world, she doesn't die the minute her program is over. I'm always looking for extra introductions. I call them mitzvah matches. I do a ton of free introductions here. They're called mitzvah matches because of Feisty Frida Furman. Anyway, um, this guy named Jim comes to one of my workshops back in the day when I was teaching for the learning addicts in Los Angeles. And he comes out to my house. We do a consultation before we had Zoom. And he's not the Clooney type, okay? He's 5'9" instead of 6 feet tall. He's mostly bald. He's older than she's searching for. But he's a doctor. He's like successful. He's also in Pacific Palisades, has a big monster home. His wife died. He's got this, new world called dating, doesn't know the first thing about it. And he comes to me so that he will probably not make a mistake. He wants me to help him vet and screen. So he's sitting there in the office with me, and we're looking at people, and I show him Leslie, and he's like, oh, there she is. And I'm thinking, well, not really, dude, because you're not her type, right? That was back when I actually thought that a woman's type meant something. Before I knew that we have a far better ability than you do to develop attraction over time. We call it the Adam Sandler effect. Yes. The ability we have to fall in love with Adam Sandler, even though he looks like an egghead in the first frame of the movie, right? So he says, this is my girl. How do I meet her? I said, well, it's probably a good idea if you're my client first, and then I can really focus on you. And if she's not our girl, I'll have plenty of others. And he says, all right, signs his check, signs his contract, whatever. And then I call her up. I'm on the edge of my chair and I'm nervous. I'm biting my fingernails because I know what she's going to say. Exactly what she said. Oh, thanks for thinking of me, Jewel. He looks great. He's just not my type. I said, I know. She said, well, why did you send him? Why did you even show him my profile? I'm a little unhappy that you actually even showed him my profile. Because you know what? We've been dating your type and we haven't found him yet. So what would be the harm? This guy's already got the wedding planned. He's got the guest list all pulled together. He knows where he wants the wedding to be, and he's got a great sense of humor. So she starts laughing because we're talking about him, and the humor element of him kicks in. She's like, okay, what do I have to lose? So they go on the first date. He takes her out to a nice restaurant in Santa Monica. Nice time, he walks her to her car because he's that guy. And he goes to give her a kiss goodnight. This was before COVID. She gives him the cheek, right? He's like, damn. So then afterwards, he writes me, he says, Julie, Leslie's perfect. She's amazing. I love her. I got the feeling she didn't have the hots for me. What should I do? I check in with her. Nice guy, but. but he's
Mm.
not my type, right? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So he said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I said, you're going to give her a second date invitation that she cannot refuse. He goes back to her profile, studies everything she loves. He notices that she loves the Philharmonic, she loves the ballet, she loves the opera, all that cultural stuff. He gets tickets to a matinee on a Sunday, nice low pressure matinee, to Romeo and Juliet, the ballet. And he
Oh.
calls her, he says, Leslie, I've got tickets. I know you're going to be the one who wants to go with me. I'm so excited to go. It's Romeo and Juliet, the ballet. She's like, I, I love the ballet. He says, I know, that's why I got the tickets. So they go to the ballet. He's trying to hold her hand. She's pulling her hand back. Again, she's not feeling it. The third date was the charm. And this is why I encourage women to get to the third date with the men are hot for you. They're into you. They're not looking at you with taking energy. They care about you. That's what Alison Armstrong calls charmed and enchanted. Jim was thoroughly charmed and enchanted, didn't want to meet anybody else. So then something happened. I'm sitting here with a broken foot right now because I heard the phone rang and I got up to get it and my dog was in the way and I saved the dog, but not myself. It's classic Julie Ferman behavior. Well, his caterer broke her foot and he had this big dinner party that he has every year with all of his pathology buddies. And he didn't know what to do. He's a pretty good foodie, but he's not a chef. She's a trained chef. Went to school in Paris to learn how to cook. And he said, Leslie, I got a problem. I wonder if you can help me. Dinner party on Sunday night. My caterer broke her foot. I don't know who else to call. I have all the recipes. I wonder, would you help me make this dinner happen? She's like, whoa, do I get to stay and meet all the people? And he said, of course, because she's thinking, I'm not hot for you, but maybe one of the guys who comes to the party, right? Well, it all happened that day. They're smashing garlic and Pavarotti's singing in the background and they're sipping Chardonnay. And she's looking across the counter at this guy who doesn't look like anybody she's ever dated. And she realizes she feels different with him. She feels like she can be her whole self, her goofy self. She can have a booger hanging out of her nose and she doesn't care because he would laugh about it and probably get a Kleenex and get it for her. I mean, he's that kind of guy. She called me from the bathroom and she said, Julie, I'm falling for this guy and I'm a little freaked out about it. And I said, good, just keep exploring. Kept exploring. They've been married for like 15 years now.
Wow.
And this is why I encourage a woman, have a second date, have a third date, look for the qualities that matter. Suspend the question, am I attracted to him? They have told me they have an incredible sex life. They're so romantic with each other. They're always touching. Their love languages are touch and acts of service. They're always like trying to outdo each other on who can do more wonderful things for each other. This is the reason why I encourage women, give him the second date, give him the third date. If you haven't developed the attraction by the third date, spin him into a friendship. You haven't gone south of the border. You haven't gone to the bedroom. You know what, Andre? I've got a gala that I'm going to, and it's all about like spiritual consciousness or whatever for this foundation. Would you want to be my plus one? Maybe I pay for you, maybe I don't. But you and I develop a friendship because the romantic piece wasn't there, but we respect and admire each other. Got it?
Yeah, and I think people overlook that quite a bit, unfortunately.
That's why we're here, to
Yeah,
catch them.
yeah. It's I see a lot of that. I mean, I think one of my recent relationships, we started off as friends, and it wasn't a person that I was like initially interested in, in pursuing a relationship with, but over time it became like we bonded in a way. Um, so yeah, I can see that happening, and it's unfortunately that we have all these filters on both in real life and on these dating
Mhm.
apps. But
And we have those filters as a protective device. We don't want to waste our time. We don't want to end up with the wrong person. Unconsciously, we don't want to end up with somebody who isn't going to make us look good to others, right? There are all these complex reasons. So, how we catch ourselves is really give a shot to the person. Like my husband says, we only have a shot with the guy who thinks we're hot, right? Give those guys a shot. Look for evidence of character. Don't miss the opportunities. Like a woman who's highly selective, deservedly selective, gets a lot of attention, always has gotten a lot of attention. she should be paying attention. If she's got powers of perception, she's intuitive, when she sees a guy who is kind of her type and she can feel that his energy is good too, she better be good at dropping that hanky. She better be good at it, because if he's got respect for women and if he's dignified, he's not gonna, hey baby, how you? It's not his. Right?
That never works.
And you're not the guy who's going to walk up to the girl at Starbucks and say, "Oh, aren't you pretty in pink?" It's just, you're charismatic, but would you do that?
No, I think okay, so I have to make a confession, and this is something that I really work on myself. And I actually wrote something. I put it in that back wall. Um and I say it's just a sign that I printed. It says, "Don't be a coward. You're going to die." And I told my friend about that, and she's like, "Well, that's really harsh." I was like, "Yeah, it's harsh, but it's not negative because we only have so much time. And a lot of times, because you're afraid, you will not take certain actions. And sometimes, again, the beautiful thing that's going to happen to you is on the other side of the fear, right? So I am very guilty of wasting opportunities where women had clearly dropped the fucking handkerchief. And I was a little pussy who didn't pursue.
Because you were afraid of what?
Guilty of that. I think because I think sometimes it's because of things that are happening in my life that I'm like, oh, this is not the time to do this because I'm in the middle of something. Like I have my mission. It could be something like work or a project. We need to finish this. This is not the time right now to talk to this, to stop what I'm doing and potentially be here for half an hour. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes I remember one time I was at the butcher. I eat a lot of red meat, so I go to the butcher here, and I'm walking by, carrying meat in my hands to the car, and I see they have a nail salon next to it, and I see this gorgeous woman. I mean, drop dead. And I walk by and I look at her, and she does what you just said. She looks away and looks back, and I'm like, and then the excuses start. It's like, oh, the meat's gonna go bad in the car, and I'm really not dressed for this. This is not the time. I need to go home and finish the edit, And then you leave there and you're like, you little bitch. Why didn't you man up and go talk to her? What's the worst that's going to happen? Because I think one of the fears, Julie, and you hit this a few seconds ago, is that you don't want to be the creep guy. You don't want to be the guy who misreads that. Right, because that's also the thing that sometimes happens to me. I'm like, am I misreading this? Did she just look because maybe she wants to go buy, some sirloin next door, and she just looked at what I was carrying? So the fear, I think, for me to be like, to be the creepy guy, right? To actually go and make somebody feel bad. Like, you never want to make somebody feel bad, so there's a little bit of that. So I am absolutely guilty of, and I can go on and on about these stories. I have a friend of mine who was like, next time this happens to you, I'm going to smack you in the face if you don't go talk to this woman.
Let me give you a tip.
Yeah.
One of my boot camp gentleman clients, he's 45. He says he forgot to get married. He built a company. He's successful, but not courageous when it comes to approaching women. So we talked about, the calling cards, and he should have one. He's like, I don't know. And I don't really want people to give out their business cards, because then they can just Google it and find out the value of this guy's home and how old is he, and, does he have a thing with his ex-wife online? I mean, whatever. I don't want all that to be apparent. So he said, I don't feel comfortable having the calling card, but he had just, I don't know, there was a kind of a card that he made that had like a quote on it, and it had a phone number. It had like Bruce, phone number, and a quote. And he started practicing, because this is what we do in week 3. We practice and we come back to office hours with hilarious stories, and it's just amazing. So he was out one day and he didn't have his card with him, and the same thing happened. He saw this woman who's like incredible. So what he did was he went over and he grabbed a napkin or something, and he wrote his phone number down it, and he put Bruce, and then he wrote, P.S. I'm not a creep. And it was a coffee thing. And so he's, I don't know, I'm really perceptive. you seem like a really intriguing person. I was going to walk out of here, but I thought, "Ugh, I'm going to be mad at myself later if I do. So I'm just going to give you my card. And if you are, it's written on a handkerchief, but if you are interested, check in with me." They're dating. They're dating.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but he had the courage to do that. So like the nice thing that happened to him was on the other side of that. And if he had never taken that action, right?
There was a guy who hit on me back in the day when I was in my 20s, and it was a Chamber of Commerce meeting. And, he's hitting on me, and I'm trying to develop my skills at all of this. And I said, "Well, I'm kind of looking for marriage and babies. I'm guessing you probably already did that." And he was like in his 50s, and it was clear. And he said, "Yeah, well, I did kind of get married and have my baby." So he said, "Maybe you should meet my son." And I thought, all right, I'll meet your son. So I did. I met his son. His son's name was George, great guy, became a friend. We went and did stuff together, but I never had the hots for him. I think it was the bad toupee. I couldn't get over it. But everything else was fine. We became friends. 6 months later, George says to me, "You're never going to go for me, are you, Julie?" I said, "You mean romantically?" "No, you're my buddy." And he said, "Damn it. Well, maybe I should introduce you to my cousin." He introduced me to his cousin, and his cousin was the best guy I dated in all the years that I lived in Kansas City. Okay? Had I not been nice to the old fart who was trying to pick me up inappropriately, had I not said yes to meeting his son and befriending him and having fun with him, even though he had a bad toupee, I never would have met the guy I had the best sex with in all of Kansas City.
And that's the best endorsement he can possibly get.
Yeah, it was amazing. And hey, we don't know what the best sex is going to be until we start opening ourselves up to possibility and exploration, and how vulnerable can we be? And how good can we get at that one thing that he likes so much, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's true in life. That's true in business. That's true with most things. Like you don't know where some actions are going to lead you, and they can lead you to a really positive outcome. I think that the people that get sometimes people get stopped by fear, and sometimes people get stopped by a selfish need of what can I get out of this right now. And maybe it's good those people get stopped because they should, right? Because if it's just like again, go back to the psychopathy of it. Like if I'm interacting with you and all I want is a short term gain, and then away with you, then maybe it's a good thing those people don't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but I think with most things in life, I think you should have connections because you like the people, and it's almost you should be completely detached from the outcome. Like the friendship is the reward, not what you can get out of it, kind
And
of
the
thing.
impact that we can make on this other person's life.
Yeah.
I challenge you to consider that. I don't know if this is my guy, but I sure would love to have him as a friend, help him gain the confidence to develop the courage to go up and say hello to that woman at the grocery store, right? All of that. I remembered going on a date with a guy from way back when, the personal ads, and he didn't look anything like his photo that he sent me, like nothing, like it wasn't even the same person. And he was kind of off. There was something like I could tell he was challenged in one way or another. So I finally said to him, "So how come it is that you didn't look like your photo?" And he said, "Well, honestly, you're not going to probably want to have a date with me again, right?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, maybe friends, but probably not a romance." And he said, "I was afraid if I sent you a picture of this guy, you wouldn't have come." It was his first date he'd ever had in his entire life.
Wow.
And he was a good guy. He was a good guy, and he had a cute little sense of humor. And so we started building this community of people in Kansas City, where we started having these social gatherings and singles parties. We started with 4, and we ended up with 50 people in 6 months coming to our events, because we said, you can't come unless you bring us somebody of the opposite sex that we don't know yet. That's how we built the community. We
Wow.
included this guy. We included him, and I watched his personal confidence evolve over time, all because I wasn't mean to him. I was kind to him. I was compassionate. I had the courage also to say, "Okay, dude, what's the deal?" And you know what I did before we left? I always had my camera with me because I love photography. I said, "Can I take some real pictures of you that you can use on your personal ads, and then you'll actually be a little bit more authentic?" And he said, "I don't like to have I said, "I know you don't, but we're going to have fun with it anyway." I encourage it. People are on a date with somebody who doesn't look like their photos. You're never going to see them again. give them the gift of new photos. We started doing this during COVID because I had to do a lot of dates in parks on park benches. I put dates together in like lawn chairs in parking lots. Seriously, you can't imagine the things we did during COVID, and some amazing connections got made. People thought outside the box. So when you're on a date with somebody who's not your person and they don't look like their photo, or they're using an old photo or whatever, say, hey, let's have some fun. I need some new photos for my Match.com profile because I know mine are 5 years old. Can you help me? You take some pictures of me. I'll take some pictures of you, and we'll see if we can help each other out. What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
All right.
I think that if we start talking about photography, we're going to be here for 10 hours because that's one of my things.
We have to wrap up because I've got another call in a minute, but you're fascinating and wonderful.
Well, thank you. I think you are too. What is the best way for people to get hold of you if they want to hire you?
It's so simple, stair-stepped approach from free to VIP and everything in between. I want you in my community if you're sincere about doing dating well and landing in a great relationship. So julieferman.com, just register, send me an email, julie@julieferman.com, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, I'm easy to find, LinkedIn, and we'll begin a conversation. Whether you become my high-level matchmaking client or not, I don't care. If you're a quality person, I want you in my database.
Everybody should go hire Julie. Julie, thank you so much for doing this today. You have been delightful, and hopefully someday we'll have you back. Maybe
Thank
like
you.
have a
Anytime.
debate with other people
Yeah.
in the dating community.
You are onto something. I love your podcast. I love what you're up to, and call on me anytime. You're a keeper.
Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Find this perfect girl, and they've even seen her out there, and they want that girl that didn't respond to them online to respond to them, through me, and they're never happy because everything's got to be perfect. And I think that people used to give people more grace than that, and that's really what changed, is that people feel like there is this great love of their life that they're just missing, and they can see what she looks like and see how she acts, and they feel like they will know right away. And I think that that's what's made it so hard. You've got to open up your mind to, it might not look like what you envisioned. It might be an average body type,